needs with resources, and we took down walls between functions. And what happened was there was more energy, more creativity, and I might say more joy when people found how to co-create than they did when they found how to oppose each other.
Right.
Right now, we have oppositional democracy. We're stuck. Mm-hmm. What I'm seeing is synergistic democracy, but it's not going to be by changing the presidency of the U.S. It's going to be by doing exactly what you're doing, Todd, connecting massively of those people who want to connect and create, connecting the dots of what's working. Place it into internet so that anyone anywhere can participate and go through what we're working on, a planetary birth experience, Birth 2012, December 22nd, 2012, where we're going to celebrate together what's emerging. And I hope by that time, Todd, you've got that tipping point fully working and you can work with us to see how many people would like to register their own creativity and their own compassion to be part of a planetary cultural shift toward a co-creative society.
Well, you know that I'm on board. We've already talked.
Yeah.
You know I'm on board for that.
You're already doing a great part.
We're all on the same team here. Let me ask you a different kind of question. This emergence, there feels like the tipping point. People sign on to the tipping point. There's a counter. There's this global awakening. The counter is a symbol for this global awakening. It feels as if a lot of people, a lot of conspiracy theorists especially, believe that there is another side, that there are, other types of energies that are in control and benefit from the types of systems that keep the world as it is, where 2 billion people live on less than $2 a day, where we don't really have full freedom over our lives like we should in a full libertarian society. Do you believe that? Do you believe that there are, entities or energies at play that are really consciously inhibiting this type of worldview from manifesting?
Yes. I have absolutely no doubt that their vested interest of very, very high power, mainly if you follow the money, and that not necessarily that it's a single conspiracy, but that the conspiracy of that degree of wealth and power doesn't let go easily, and that it is there, and if you go at it directly to dislodge it through any type of protest or revolution, it doesn't work.
Right.
Knowing about it is important, and then I think the connectivity of what does work, the connectivity of what's creative and compassionate is more in the nature and direction of evolution. And, and this is an evolutionary faith, that when you go in that direction, because for billions of years nature takes jumps to more synergistic order, we're not doing this in a neutral universe. The force is with us. The impulse of evolution, the implicate order, is going in this direction.
Right.
So I feel personally, I'm 81 years old. Now, another thing that happens is you start to get so energized by finding your life purpose. Since we're closer and closer to the crisis of breakdown or breakthrough, everybody is being called to give more of their creativity because we're members of a social body that's going through this, even if we don't like it, even if we don't know it. We're part of this same whole system. There's no way around it.
Right. It's really evolution. You're really saying that, what's happening, there are energies. I mean, there are people, there are organizations that do actually inhibit a lot of what we're talking about from manifesting.
Certainly.
But they're fighting a battle they can't win in a lot of ways because it's evolution. And evolution tells us and has shown us for billions of years that creativity, and connection, is the way of things. Is that correct?
Yes, and I feel that if you want to say in religious terms, God put freedom in the system. It's not a robotic universe. So the choices that you and I, times millions, make a difference. And that we are right at the tipping point where a system could go down, and even if you're in that high-level power structure, you're not going to be able to hold on. And there are hundreds of millions of people waking up everywhere on Earth now. And let's say it's a evolutionary drama of evolve or devolve and go extinct. So if that's really true, it means we're getting it on the inner level even if we're not conscious of it.
Yeah. That's
and
beautiful.
The children of the people who have all this power and their children, they're wakening up too.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
I personally know that there are these powers, and I am so attracted to connecting what's working. As Buckminster Fuller said, don't try to attack, create a better design.
Mm.
That's what
we're
doing.
It almost feels, you mentioned the children, it almost feels as if, the younger people, the younger generations, and really in the Tipping series, really talking to some of these people, it almost feels like they get it at such a deeper level where, someone of my age at 38 years old that, has kind of done this drive mentality where money's the most important thing and then kind of evolving past that into a greater purpose. It almost feels like younger generations are almost coded in a way that they really understand that, and that really is what gives me the most hope. Are you seeing that as well?
It's true. I do, and in my understanding, since there's nobody who's been through this crisis, whether you be young or old, I believe we're all members of one great intergenerational generation. Mm. And that the young know things that we don't know. They innately know this. They were born later in the planetary life cycle, so they're born into this whole noosphere and interrelated planet. I was born in 1929. We didn't know any of this. Mm-hmm. So I think that as an elder from the future, if you want to say that, mm-hmm. I feel completely related and needful of connecting to the young ones. And I think that by holding hands together, the older and the younger, facing the new together, and it goes beyond gender and age right now, mm-hmm. is exactly what is needed to happen.
Right. That's beautiful. So, Barbara, the tipping point, okay? We have this website. We have these conversations. When people sign into the Tipping Point website, the Worldwide Tipping Point website, we have a counter, which is a symbol. It might be trite, but yet it's a symbol for this global awakening. Some of the speakers that I've talked to have ideas about what number, how many people does it really take that are really awake, that symbolically sign on to this counter where real change is actually going to happen. Do you have a number in mind? Do you want to take a guess? Because everyone else seems to want to take one.
I don't have a guess of what critical mass is, because so much of it depends not just on numbers of people, but how connected they are with each other. You see, if you just had 100 million people, I think that's a number I've heard,
yep.
but they were all disconnected doing their own thing, it would be less impactful than if 100 million people were turning on to what they want to create and finding each other to co-create. And what I hope will happen with the Tipping Point Network is, let's say you get 100 million people, that part of your process, if you ever like my wheel of co-creation, which is the 12-sector wheel, is for people to start placing their desire to create in certain functional sectors of society and begin to find each other through the tipping point. Mm-hmm. Then what happens is that the creative urge starts to come into form. And that would be the obvious fulfillment of a tipping point, is everybody who's stepping onto that tipping point is creative. And their creativity is naturally seeking where it can best express itself. That's just as natural as the desire for life. And by just providing a simple tool for people to find each other, I believe that is what would make the greatest impact. So let's say you had 100 million people who had some functional capacity to find their own next